some of y'all might know me, some of y'all don't. You know, for a lot of you new guys, my name is Paco. I used to be the former manager, road manager for DSR. Tum Big Tuck. Pretty much handled all the street marketing, all the road managing, traveled across the country, working records. Back before there was really internet and MP3, things like that. Currently, I started an independent marketing company called DTX Management. I work with Paul Wall, who's a really good friend of mine. We've been friends for years. I helped build his career. He's somebody I work with very closely. My most priority right now is I manage Dustin Cavazos, and I'm business partners with two-time Grammy winners Playing Skills, and he's our priority, and he's what we're working on right now. So for those of you guys who've been hearing about Dustin Cavazos, he's got a lot of business management behind him, and that's what it's all about right now, Dustin.
Definitely. So you spoke on DSR. Where are they at now?
As far as DSR, man, the imprint sort of defunct. I still work closely with Tum. Me and him have a lot of contractual obligations, so I still do a lot of booking. I still work a lot of records for him. Tum's a Dallas legend, a Texas legend. So you know, I think he's one of those guys that people will continue to pay homage to. He opened the door for a lot of people in Dallas to even have that opportunity to go mainstream, to go MTV, to go BET. So he's somebody I work closely with. The rest of the DSR, Big Tuck, Double T, Little Ronnie, I don't really have a lot of contact with those guys. The last time I worked with Big Tuck was when I was working the Not a Stain on Me record, which was a record that did amazingly well across the country. It had some sampling issues that kind of stopped it from peaking, and that's the last time I really worked with Tuck.
So, a lot of people have different rumors and stuff, but what was the downfall with that movie?
I mean, I get asked that question a lot, man, and one of the biggest downfalls was, it was too much money, man. This was a company that was making thousands and thousands of dollars a week, moving tons of mixtapes, doing tons of shows, and you're dealing with the company that, in my personal opinion, while working with DSR, did not have the business financing, the business management of dealing with that type of money, and I think it was just so much money that, that was a downfall. People think it's like, oh, the company went broke or the company did this. It's just, my philosophy on business is, if it's not on paper, it's not real, and, everybody's friends till a $100,000 check comes. If your percent is 1%, then when that check comes, you should know what you expect. A lot of the problems with Dallas is everybody has these handshake deals, and then the $100,000 check comes and nobody knows who gets what. And whoever the check is issued to, that person determines who gets what.
So what's the biggest difference between Dallas and
Well, oh man, the biggest difference is definitely money, man. I came from an era where, there was just so much money, man, and what I mean by income, I mean, hard product was selling, man. People were buying discs, people were buying, tapes, CDs, man. DJs were able to host tapes and move, 500-600 copies in 1 week. Artists were able to put product and move units at $8 a unit, man. I was down to 99 cents on iTunes, man, and promoters were willing to, book artists for $1,000, $2,000 a show, and now it's to sell tickets or to open up, and DJs were charging, $500-600 a night to DJ, and now it's like, this is a conversation for another time, but now, you got DJs that'll do it for a bar tab, and I'm not knocking that either, but, that's just a big difference. People only judge and gauge the things they do by what's happening. I'm sure somebody told a guy like, hey, you can move product for this much, and if an influx of the right amount of people doing it at the same time, it could happen again,
So the internet era tapped in, and it's like a lot of artists, they don't really know the business side of it.
Right. The internet came in, and like myself, I was an older guy. I came from an older generation of moving records, but I linked up with Dustin, and this guy has a massive internet following, and pretty much, man, it was either adapt or die. That's it. There was no way around it. All the complaining in the world wasn't going to do anything. I talked to a lot of OGs like, yo, man, the internet's ruining this, doing that, and you know, had to wake up one day and it was either adapt or die. That's it. If you're come from my era and you're not adapting, you're gonna die. That's it. If you don't accept the internet, you know, you have to just work twice as hard. You know, it's easier to get music out there. It's easier to reach people, but it's easier to reach people, but it's 3 times as hard to get money. You know, and I've come in and I've helped manage, you know, again, another young artist, you know, business to where it's now accumulating income. And you know, the craziest thing about the internet now is, like I said, man, people can pick and choose what they want to listen to, man. People can pick and choose what they want to listen to. You may have an album of all these amazing records, and people might only know you for one single or one mixtape record, and that's usually what they go to, man. You know, I think that, you know, it's hard to reach real fans now, you know, that are willing to listen to the entire project.
Right. Now you manage Dustin. A lot of people who don't know, let them know how big of accomplishments he had done and where he's doing and where he has going.
You know, when I met Dustin, man, people were telling me like, yo, you gotta sign this kid, man. You gotta work with this kid. And I'm just kind of like, yo, that's all I hear all the time, man. You know, I have these massive relationships with radio. I have these massive relationships with DJs and you know, and record labels and things like that. And you know, it got to the point where, like, you know, people just driving me crazy about Dustin, man. My sister, man, who's my business partner, shout out to Christy Rocks, she finally just kind of forced Dustin on me to where I just started doing research, and I'm going to the shows are selling out. I'm getting on his Twitter, and I'm getting on his Facebook, and 200-300 likes, you know, 400 or 500 retweets, people are trending, you know. And I'm thinking like, okay, man, this is definitely a second opportunity for myself to get into the internet era. And I mean, over time, like I said, I mean, Dustin was just a guy who had a lot of energy, but I came in and I harnessed his energy and turned it into a business. You know, now we have merchandise, you know, that we're moving like clockwork. We have EPs that are coming out like clockwork. We have, you know, so much product. You know, we're able to make income. You know, I tell Dustin, you know, a year ago you weren't even able to feed yourself. You know, and now you're able to feed an entire staff. You know, and here's for anybody that's watching, man. You know, the worst thing about Dallas and the worst thing about the music industry, people want to judge and people want to say things, oh, you know, you're not getting money, things like that, man. I tell anybody, when you're in the music industry, you gauge success by the income you do make, man. I'd rather make the same thing I would make at McDonald's doing music than actually getting up and going to McDonald's. And that's not knocking anybody who does work, you know, but you know, that's how I gauge success in the music industry, man. You know, there are different levels, you know, of success, and you know how high you get different tiers, and of course everybody's trying to reach those tiers. But for any independent artist, you know, gauge success, you know, by what you're doing now. You know, if you can make the same thing, you know, by not going to work, you know, or you make the same amount of money you make a week, then of course who wouldn't want to make music full time, you know. But the most important thing is to take your product and, you know, make a business out of it, you know. I do have an answer for that. I've had the answer I've had for years. When Uncle Joe's managing you or best friend Johnny's managing you, they can only get you to a certain level, man. And I just put numbers on it, man. The most important thing is when you have a manager, man, like I said, an Uncle Joe or friend Johnny's managing you, you're supposed to have a certain percentage with it, man, a certain percentage secure on paper. And then if you get to a certain level and somebody else like myself or a Playing Skills or a Mike Mood Swing or just any of the other general managers in the area decide to approach you, it's your responsibility and your manager's responsibility to sit back, cut those percentages down, or leave them the same, or it's your responsibility to give up more percentage to get to the next level, because the way you win to the game is volley. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Lil Wayne's manager probably gets like 1%, but 1% of a few million is a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? And what ends up happening is you have these managers and you have these friends who they start to get scared, man, like, oh, I'm losing my responsibility, I'm losing grip of the situation, man. As long as you're on paper and you're protected, you know, and at that point you end up becoming what's called a personal manager, man. Your job is to go get cokes. Your job is to go get food. Your job is to carry the backpack. Your job is to, you know, stay in the car. You know, your job is to park the car. And those managers, they don't want those responsibilities. And if you're not willing to do that, you're in the wrong business. Here's my deal, man. When it comes to Hispanic rappers, man, you know, shout out to, you know, all those guys, Cap G, man. You know, manager reached out to me a couple days ago, you know. You know, I think it's just timing, man. That's just all it is, man. It was timing. I mean, you know, this is not even a racist remark. I hope it didn't come out like that. But if you'd have told me, you know, 5 years ago that white rappers are gonna run hip hop, I might have not have believed you. You know what I'm saying? I might have been like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, I think as far as Hispanics, you know, we cover a large population. I think when it comes to Dustin, there are a lot of fans that relate to him. You know, I think we all, at one point, we all wanted to be our favorite rappers. Whether we dress like them, whether we got grills like them, whether we, you know, we wore, you know, outfits like them. I think we all wanted to be our favorite rappers at one time, man. Dustin putting out good music and people want to be like him. And you know, the president of Warner Brothers in Atlantic tweeted the other day, you know, he's like, why isn't there a Mexican-American hip-hop star? And, you know, again, for me, it's just timing. It has nothing to do else with, you know, Hispanics and rap. It just has to do with perfect timing, man. And again, I don't think the president of Warner Brothers is wrong, you know. And we're going to continue to keep putting out good music, man. And I hope we can, you know, get everybody's support, especially in Dallas, man. It's such a melting pot. This is a multicultural city. I've told anybody, man, every race, every color, man, we're all in it to get one, man. And that color's green. And if we work together, you know, I think we can achieve that.
Can we expect something from Cap G and Dustin? Is that something to look forward to?
It's a possibility, man. I think Top Shelf Shows is working on a show together, you know, to bring them both out, and hopefully we can get in the studio and work together.